I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I woke up irritated today. I have a tummy ache, really upset about it. Also, it doesn't help that I'm immensely irritated because the ultimatum's back. But this time, we're looking at one of the foreign ones. Hi, before we get started, hello, I'm Kendall. If you're new around here, welcome. Not new around here, what is up, home scale biscuit? I talk a lot about the Ultimatum and Love is Blind. I think of them as the vaguely related to Nick and Vanessa Lachey Netflix dating cinematic universe. But they also make foreign versions of the show that up until now I had not ventured into until it came across my radar that they are making an Ultimatum South Africa. And I simply could not ignore that. I have to watch that. A Love is Blind or Ultimatum with basically all Yes. And so today we're going to sit down and talk about that. Because that was quite an experience. Definitely different from the Love is Blind and Ultimatums of the United States, tonally and pacing wise. But rest assured, it does get quite messy. You're welcome. But before we get started, you know the drill. We have to send it over to Admiral Kennie so she can pay some bills. Thank you. Hello everyone, this is Vacation Admiral Kennie, popping in to let you know that today's video is sponsored by Lovin' Pies, the game that has been keeping me sane as I wait in airports longer than I would like to. Lovin' Pies is a beautiful, free-to-play baking mobile game about Amelia, newly divorced single mom who embarks on a journey to follow her dreams, rebuild her mom's burnt down cafe, as well as maybe find a little love. Along the way, you serve customers, make money, and rebuild, redecorate, and redesign the once shabby and destroyed cafe, all the while discovering secrets to your mom's mysterious disappearance. I've been building stuff. We even got a dog. I decided to name her Russet, like my actual dog. It's a gorgeous matching game that is sure to keep you engrossed and playing for hours. The story has so much to explore and discover, and there's also limited time challenges where you can get exclusive items along the way. So if you would like to check out Lovin' Pies, you can click on my exclusive link down below, and for those that do within the first 7 days of this video going up, you can get a free gift in your inbox. 200 energy and 50 gems for those of you that click on the link down below and play until day 3. And then within a week of this video going live, you will get your free gifts. So big thanks to Lovin' Pies for sponsoring today's video. And let's get on to the debauchery. One other thing I want to show you guys before we get started is that I really like this shirt. I don't remember buying this shirt, but I know I did because it seems like something I would buy, and I don't know where I got it from. But check it. Strawberry jams, but my Glock don't. And it's a frog holding a gun. So, you're welcome. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Ultimatum, because that's what we're focusing on today, I have ventured into talking about the Ultimatum several times, and I will put that up in somewhere, my playlist of Love is Blind and Ultimatum related media. But the Ultimatum is a Netflix original show that the premise of it is that you bring couples where one person within the couple wants to get married. Thus, they are issuing their partner an ultimatum: either marry me or move on. And what they do in the show is that for 3 weeks, they pick a trial marriage partner. Basically, they swap partners with another couple, learn what it's like to be with someone else, remember what it's like to be with someone else, decide wholeheartedly whether they want to go back to their original partner or maybe even find some connection with this new person. And then after 3 weeks, they switch back to their original partners. They're with their original partners for 3 weeks. And at the end of that, they decide whether or not they want to get engaged to their original partners, if they want to leave with maybe one of the new people they met, or if they want to just leave alone. And it's just as bad of an idea as you think it is. It's resulted in a lot of mess, and I love it, ironically, but unironically too. It keeps me entertained. But up until this point, again, they've had other Ultimatum that were in different countries, but I just wasn't interested until I heard again that they're doing one in South Africa. And I must say, the experience was different than what I was expecting. Honestly, the first few episodes were boring as fuck. And I almost gave up on this. I was like, wow, I didn't expect this. I thought I was guaranteed a good time. But somewhere around episode 5, 6, it starts getting very real and very messy. So one thing, again, that'll be different in this rundown than I usually do is that I'm not going to do it episode by episode simply because, again, those first like 5 episodes, nothing really happened. So let's just mush the events of everything together in this here rundown. You're welcome. So fast, we have to start off with the original couples. And I had a bit of a hard time getting a reading on anyone, really, simply because the editing in this version is a lot more fast paced. They don't spend time really delving into into each couple really at all. So it's hard to get a feel for them outside of these kind of small glimpses of things that they say that is undoubtedly in or out of context. But we have Nola and Lebo. Lebo is quiet. She gives me insecure. And Nola gives mad cheater energy. Lebo is issuing the ultimatum, but she does say something along the lines that he's a big flirt, and that's never a good sign. And that's, maybe he's just a flirt. He's not a cheater. He's not a bad guy. He's just a flirt. Aiden and Courtney, white. That's all I needed to know. They're the only white people in the show. They don't really show up much. That's the only reason I remember them, is because they're the only white people in the show. Basically, their only problem is that Aiden is very indecisive. Courtney is the one that issued the ultimatum. And she's just like, pick me, dude. Like, let's just get married then. Whatever. Tabby and Genesis. I remembered them because Tabby kind of looks like my dad's side of the family. She looks like my cousin Julia. And I was like, oh shit, that's Julia. But Tabby's sweet. And Genesis, I don't really know much about him because he doesn't show up much. He's kind of quiet and chill, kind of squirrely. I always thought he looked like a chipmunk, and that's how I remembered who he was. Tabby is the one that wants to get married, and she's like, I feel like he's lying about finances being the reason why we can't get married. I think he's just not, I don't know. I want him to make his mind up and get married. SZA and Lindile. I believe SZA's full name is Sizakele. I call her Giggles because she giggles a lot. She seems nice, a bit closed off. And Lindile is real fine. I remembered him as the fine dark-skinned dude with the tooth thing. He nice looking. Actually, Lindile is the one that issued the ultimatum, and apparently they have been friends for years. They've known each other for years, but started dating about 6 months ago. And he's already like, I want to get married already. Like, okay, whatever. I think that's a bit. Kanya, I don't know how to pronounce his name. And I feel like I hear the stress different times depending on who says it. Nakateko. They call him K as a nickname. I don't know why, but Nakateko and Kanya. Kanya is the one that issued the ultimatum. Kanya's a lot. I'll start there. She's very mean. She's very prissy, very like posh. Like, I'm better than this. I'm better than all of you. I don't know. She does this thing with her mouth where she barely opens it, but she just says the most nefarious things out of it. And then she's dating Nakateko. I am so sorry. Who honestly doesn't leave much of impression for me because he's kind of like just in her shadow, honestly. He seems fine, indecisive, because that's how we got here. And then finally we have Ruth, who I remembered as pretty dark-skinned girl, and Isaac, who I remembered as that nigga probably got a second family and he's a big misogynist. So Ruth is issuing the ultimatum, partially because they've been dating for 2 years and he seems to be very secretive. She hasn't met his family. She can only text, not call. And we quickly see in their initial interactions that he's very deflective and I would argue manipulative. And then later we just see that he's a stone cold traditional misogynist. So he's full on like, women need to cook for me. If you're not cooking for me, why are you my wife? That type of energy. So yeah, let's get started on the actual showdown. So the core difference, as I noted before, is that in this version of the ultimatum, things move very quickly. We don't sit with much, and that's honestly kind of confusing and hard to follow. I actually didn't fully remember who was who until I watched the entire season a second time, because there's no like settling. So I'm like, who's with who was originally with who's in the new relationships with who. It's really confusing. But it is fair to say that those first few episodes, even though they're pretty boring, honestly, they're just doing like the things that we do in this show, which is like, we're doing the speed dating and we're doing the making your new partners, making your new couples, and then da-da-da-da, and the mess doesn't come into the later end. Again, it was so fast paced still, and it was hard to figure out who's who, whose disposition is what do I feel about each person. So I didn't love that, but if they didn't spend a lot of time on each couple, so again, it is kind of hard to figure out what my initial reactions or feelings about each person is, and I was getting confused who was who because we were moving around too fast. Also, I think that Isa, Kele, and Tabi kind of look alike a little bit. Not really. They don't look like they're siblings, but they could be related. And so I was like, I'm getting confused. But yes, those first few episodes, we do the speed dating. They do little activities, yada, yada, yada. And this is officially, the breakup stage of the original couples, which, again, as I've said about the past seasons that I've talked about, it's always incredibly vague what they mean by breakup, what they mean by my ex, right? Because theoretically, if y'all actually broken up, there's no boundaries that can't be passed. People could make out, people could have sex, people could fall in love, because that is kind of the point of the experiment. Like, you're trying to have the full experience of full fake marriage with somebody else to see if you feel that for somebody else or if you want to be with your original partner. However, people are human. And so because of that, it's not as simple and smooth as that. People get jealous. People get, I want peanut butter. Why did that hit me so strong just now? I'm gonna make peanut butter toast after I'm done with this. Subsequently, things like barriers and parameters that each couple has set for their relationship upon breakup, we don't know as the audience. So we don't know if someone would be very upset if their ex was making out or cuddling. And that barrier's been pushed in the past, but never to the extent that it's been pushed here, at least in the seasons that I've seen, at least in the US seasons, I should say. So they get to picking their trial marriage partners. They go back and forth. We get a bit more of a feel for Isaac's ways. Remember I said he's giving like traditional misogynist, but also he's just kind of rude and mean. He's at the table and they're like, what is your reflection of this experience? And he's like, I had so much, I had a great time talking to all the ladies except my ex.
For me, I had a wonderful chat with all these beautiful ladies, yeah, except my ex. But
except for your ex.
Unnecessary. Why did you do that? And then Kenya is like, you know, it was nice. Everyone kind of bored me. Isaac is the only one that didn't bore me, so I chose him.
And I remember how bored I was by everyone else. You know?
So Isaac and Kenya end up getting together. Two messy bitches. They always connect, don't they? But eventually people pick random reasons why they felt connected to this person they met for 3 days, and they end up picking those trial marriages. So the trial marriages now are Sizakele, Giggles, and Nekteko, Ruth and Nola, Isaac and Kenya, Tabby and Lendile, Lebo and Aiden, and Courtney and Genesis. So, like I said, what the parameters are for each new coupling is, again, vague. But I did note that Nola is particularly touchy in a way that seems a bit more aggressive. Like, he doesn't seem particularly apprehensive about going into, you know, being physically touchy or blah, blah, blah. There doesn't seem to be a lead up. He's just like, sweet. So much so that they give, oh, we're not going to make out. We're going to fuck type energy. Like, Ruth seems down. She's like, I'm not with my ex right now. Like, we are broken up. I can do whatever the fuck I want. So yeah, she can. So, but yes, the first few days is just everyone getting comfortable. They share a bed, they share a living space, they share grocery bills and all that stuff to really get used to that. They're kissing, they're cuddling, they're sharing trauma, they're processing the guilt it feels to be with a new person. But again, one couple that crosses the line into sex is Nola and Ruth. We didn't see that coming. Literally just said like 5 seconds ago.
We're just happy. We were just happy. And then one thing led to another. Yeah, we did it.
It's hard to tell what or if that is wrong, what is wrong about it, if there's something wrong with it. Ruth is very emphatic. She's like, I'm not with Isaac right now. I am broken up. I can have sex with whoever I want to. But as we'll see, it may not be as distinct a line to her ex Isaac or to Nola's ex Lebo. Now, it's still early, but around this time is when we start to get more of Kanya's mean side. Like I said, Kanya's really just grating. She's grating. Very quickly, she seemed to have a lot of heat for Siza because she's with her ex. But like, you brought her on the show. Do you not understand? Like, why are you upset at Siza for doing the process? But she calls her fake. Later starts to like talk about how she laughs too much. I call her goofy boom boom, fatty boom boom. I'm like, what the f? And it seems like every time she sees them together, she progressively gets more frustrated because she thinks they're putting on a show specifically for her.
I feel like she went for him because she thought I was gonna go for Lindile. And she was now trying to do some other Do you think it's that deep?
She's like, they're doing this just to get under my skin. She has I guess that's a South African accent. I don't know. It's like a almost British, but not quite accent.
And I'm just like, you can have him. I'm not even playing that game with you. Like, without even saying so.
And she seems to like really build up that there's this big competition like between SZA and her, that SZA has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. She's just doing the thing that they came here to do. Like, what? So as it goes in the show in a way that's incredibly confusing to me, people start falling in love very quickly. Again, you came in with a partner and you already saying, fuck that nigga, I'm in love. Well, not fuck that nigga, but just, oh no, I love another person, like someone else. Oh no, how will I make sense of these feelings? And so in that conversation of making sense of these feelings, Aiden and Lebo come over and talk to Tabby and Lendile. And Lebo is like, what if your ex, Tabby, was kissing Courtney? Yeah. How would you feel about that? And she's like, I wouldn't love it, but like, that's what the experience is. You know, people get close, they get intimate, but they start to talk about like, do you think people are going to get intimate, you know, you feel me? Are they going to start getting intimate? And this conversation starts to make Lebo anxious because, as we'll find, her and Nola didn't have a conversation at all about what their boundaries or what they are expected to do within this trial, which is, oh, stupid. That's dumb. That was a bad idea. I want peanut butter on bread, but I gotta finish this. Damn it. Perhaps because of that anxiety, Lebo and Aiden play a little cheeky joke to like go and spy on all the other couples. That's one thing. They are all in the same like villa area, like next to each other's villas. So they're all like very close to each other. If they wanted to, they could see the other couple, you know, if they're on the same patio at the same time, like stuff like that. So messy. So they go around like being a little cheeky, like, oh, let's see what everybody's up to. And while they're doing that, Lebo sees her ex Nola all hugged up with Ruth. Recall, him and Ruth have been smashing, or at least smashed at least once at this point. Lebo gets upset. She's like, you're hugged up all up on her. You're holding hands. You're doing this, that, and the other. Like, what is that? And he's like, and Ruth is like, damn, what you spying on me for? What we come for the thing for? If you ain't gonna let just stuff, like, hello? That's not fair. We should be able to have a comfortable trial marriage without fearing that you're gonna be peeking around the corner, which is very true. Because again, why you bring the here if you don't trust him? If you don't trust him, break up. Don't go looking for shit you don't want to see. You knew he was a flirt. You brought him on here to be with a new person. You thought that he wouldn't be a flirt with a new person now that he's technically broken up and could have sex with them. Like, I don't know. But Ruth is like, come on, let's trust the process. And everything ends on a good terms. But obviously Lebo is still jealous. And again, she and Nola didn't speak of boundaries. And here's a good example of why you should. Speaking of people getting jealous, going back to Kenya and Isaac end up seeing Neteko and SZA out in the gardens. And then later Lendile sees SZA and Neteko out in the gardens or whatever, and he gets frustrated. Recall, Lendile is SZA's ex and Kenya is Neteko's ex. Follow me. Follow the Venn diagram. Okay. And so they both are not doing well, and Lendile's mood completely bleeds into his trial marriage with Tabby. And she's like, dude, they're doing the same thing that we do. Tabby's saying this. They're doing the same thing that we do. And he's like, nah, they're doing it outside. They're doing it outside. This in public. Like, why would you like have some respect for me? Have some consideration for me. Like, why would you do that out in public? And then Kenya is thinking like, oh, they're doing it just to spite me. Like they're laughing so loud so everyone can hear you. This is so showy. This is so fake. So later we do the meeting family friends type thing, and people do it at varying times. But Isaac notably ends up introducing Kenya to his friends and his cousin, or a friend and his cousin, one of them. Now, recall, his ex, Ruth, has not met any of his family in the 2 years they've been dating. So I would imagine I would be pissed. Personally, if I were Ruth, fuck you, Nick. But they get there, and he's like, this is my trial wife, this is Kenya. And the conversation comes up of Kenya not cooking at home. One of them is like, you know, as a woman, what do you do at home? Like, how do you make his life easier? What do you bring to the table type shit? And, you know, for as much as I don't like Kenya, we see eye to eye on a few of these, like, I ain't doing none of that shit. It's like, you're not gonna, that's not my job. I'm not your mother. It'll get clean. We can both clean. Like, fuck that. Granted, I don't think she wants to clean ever, but I'm not that different from her either in that regard either. I love having friends who like to clean because I'll give you something to do. I got 3 friends I can think of right now who just like to clean. It's a great stress reliever for them. God bless y'all because y'all are needed in my house right now. But I'm not gonna be rude. I'll buy dinner. Come on. Anyway, but she's like, I cook sometimes when I'm in a good mood, but no, I don't. And for them, the men in the room, that is a big red flag. As a wife, you're not gonna cook. Behead her. Roll her torso in the river to feed to the vultures. Absolutely big on wench. And this conversation ends up kind of bleeding into when they get back home. He starts to bring up like, you know, what are you doing as far as your like wifely duties and like all that stuff? And she's like, in a way similar to me, I am not a mother. I am not a maid. No. He's like, what do you bring to the table? I am the table. Like, what do you mean? I'm not gonna, no. I don't cook. I don't clean. There's people whose job it is to do that job. SpongeBob reference. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, you're not going to clean my dishes. You're not going to clean the house. Because I'm in the mindset that those are not wifely duties. Those are, we both live in this place. We should probably clean it. I cook, you clean dishes. You feel me? I don't like to clean dishes. I don't mind cooking. I just don't like to clean up afterwards. We work together. You know, but he's like, oh, she's not doing her wifely duties. I don't know how to do the accent. I'm sorry. That was a weird, I'm so sorry. Speaking of dishes, though, it comes up there where he's like, you have all these dishes and you don't clean them. Did you have people over? You're like, it's messy. And she's like, did I tell you to wash the dishes? If I didn't tell you to wash the dishes, why are you making it my business? And it turns into this like big arguing. He's like, I'm just trying to tell you how I feel. And she was like, then wash them. No one's telling you to wash the dishes, which is like rude. It's kind of rude. Like, y'all both can wash the dishes, but I get both of their sides because I have depression, especially if I was going to clean them, you coming up to me being like, are you going to clean these dishes? Like, the reason I didn't clean them is because I'm stressed. You just made me more stressed and now I'm not going to do them. But I also get like not wanting to live in a dirty space, but I also know that he's misogynistic. So he thinks she should clean them because she's a woman. That's why. But yes, it bleeds into the whole like women are supposed to cook and clean, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, and this becomes like a big complaint for her. Later, she's talking to, I want to say Tabby. I don't remember. And she's like, oh, it's ridiculous. He makes me pay half of the groceries. What type of man? Can you imagine? And he goes to Lendile or somebody probably. She doesn't cook and clean. Can you imagine? Y'all are two annoying bitches together. That's very funny. There is a point where they all come together and have like barbecue in the back. And this is a side note. The whole time she just complains about how overcooked the meat is, that she didn't cook.
You guys overfried this meat.
It's Isaac.
This meat is dry, but it's not.
Back to Nola and Ruth, right? He meets with her friends. It's fine. It's whatever. I do note that Ruth seems to be very, very happy with him at this point. But everyone who interacts with him, this is just the first of many times people interact with him where they're like, I don't trust this nigga. The vibes are off with this nigga. One guy even asked him, if you had to choose between Ruth and your ex, which one would you pick? And he, putters around, but eventually gets to, I would pick Ruth. And in the post interview, he kind of talks about how he has a skill, a defense, a manipulation in which he's like, if I keep talking long enough, it spins a web and I don't have to commit to anything. I can get away with it.
I kind of give a lengthy explanation until people just get lost in the words. And I get away with it.
Blatantly. So that's a great sign of a person with no ill intentions at all. So later when he meets Lendile and Aiden to catch up, he wants to get a feel for everybody else. Like, what have they been doing? Like, specifically, have y'all been smashing? Because at this point, he's the only one that has had full-on sexual intercourse. So he's like, hey, did y'all smash? And when they're like, nah, we didn't. He's like, did you? No, oh man, this isn't about me. How did this turn into being about me? No. And outright lies poorly, but outright lies over and over and over again. They asked, did y'all kiss? And he's like, no, we didn't do one. No. Again, reminder, him and Ruth have had sex at least once, presumably more than once. So, and also again, he's a bad liar. So they're sitting there like, I don't trust this. He's a liar. And so Aiden, who is Lebo's trial partner, goes to her and he says, something's off with Nola. Something's off with that dude. And she's like, well, I don't want to make a decision just because you know, for a conversation that I didn't hear and I wasn't a part of. And just because you come back to me and say something's off, I want something more tangible than that. Ruth and Nola have sex again. And in the post interview, again, Ruth is talking about how she's like, I've broken up with Isaac, so I have no guilt for it. I don't feel sorry for it. I'm a single woman. But Nola and Lebo don't seem to have that understanding at all. They have ladies and guys night, you know, the arbitrary bringing everybody together to start some mess. And I will say these conversations get incredibly emotionally volatile, but particularly because in the men's section, they have a propensity particularly Nola has a propensity to be very like brash about whether or not people have had sex. I think it's because he's trying to figure out if he's the odd one out to have had sex.
Like, since the night of pairing, this is my first time seeing him.
Your woman kissed me locks up, bro. No, I'm kidding, bro.
Like, ooh, and they're like laughing and bantering, but he's like, oh, did anybody smash? Did anybody smash? And it's like, this is gross.
Isaac, you got a good woman. I haven't banged yet.
And then meanwhile, back with the women, Kanya's being Kanya, catty. Basically, she just goes for SZA like immediately. SZA mentions that she talked with Neteko's mom. Kanya is like, you talked to her mom? Isn't she in Saudi Arabia? And she was like, well, yeah, it was a FaceTime call. She was like, oh, then you didn't meet. That doesn't count. You didn't meet. And I'm like, again, in the post interview, she calls her Goofy Boom Boom.
That's why I call her Goofy Boom Boom, Fatty Boom Boom. I don't know if she's trying to seem cheerful because that laugh is also annoying.
But the girls start talking about to what degree people have gone over a line physically. And the way that Kanya brings it up is to say to SZA, have you had sex with my ex? And she's like, no, not yet. And then unprompted, well, we haven't had sex since last September, so if he did have sex with you, it's just because he thought you were easy. I'm like, whoa, you're being a little hostile for a bitch that brought her man to the show. Did you not know how the show works? Maybe you should have put it on him before he got here. That's neither here nor there. And so everybody's kind of shocked by this unprompted admission. You haven't had sex with your partner, you're now ex since September of last year, and where they're like, why didn't you have sex? Why haven't you had sex since? She's like, it's none of your business. Bitch, you made it our business. You just told us that. You made us know that. She's like, well, talk to him about it. She's like, you told me. And she's just like very like angry towards SZA and Neteko.
I am connecting with Nkateko. Like, I didn't.
She's like, they're both sluts and disrespectful. Back to the men. Isaac asks Neteko if Kanya, his ex, is a gold digger, which isn't really coming out of nowhere, unfortunately, because Kanya does give that vibe, but it feels like she's doing it wrong. Like she wants all the money and the nice things, but she dates broke men. Like you're doing it wrong. And then you're frustrated at them because they're not multimillionaires. Like, baby, what? You're doing it wrong, babe. Like she called herself an entrepreneur, but from what we understand, she makes no money entrepreneuring. So, and also she's just very rude. But, so this is something that Neteko kind of considers as he thinks back on eventually returning to his ex, Kanya. Kanya is rude to SZA again. She's like, I hear you guys laughing and I can tell it's a fake laugh. I know what his fake laugh sounds like. And he's fake laughing with you all the time.
Expected to happen.
But is he connecting
I
with you
didn't,
back? Because I know his laugh.
He's been fake laughing. This was one time I heard him fake laugh for like 2 hours plus. Oh, that must be so draining.
Then she brings up Lendile and she's like, I can tell he's in love with you, girl. He's in love with you, Tabby. To get under SZA's skin, and it's just like so weird. It's so weird and so elementary school. Grow up, bitch. Like, oh my God. At the men's meeting, Nola is questioned about how far he's gone with Ruth, and this is where he I guess changes his story a bit, because not long ago he was like, no, we have not kissed at all. We've done nothing. But now he's like, we've maybe kissed. And everybody's like, he's a bad liar. Again, he's a bad liar. Kanye's a bad gold digger. Y'all are doing it poorly. But, you know, he does little jokes back and forth. But when he's alone with Isaac directly and he asks him, did you sleep with Ruth? He's like, no. We've gotten close, but not like close in that way. No. And Isaac is like, this motherfucker lying, but whatever, right? And they also talk about how Isaac, before picking Kanye, did have a connection with Nola's ex Lebo, but you know, but they have a friendship now, and Nola's not okay with that. Mind you, he's f***ing a new person, but he is not okay with Lebo even having a friendship. Another guy. But eventually, Ruth decides that she would like to talk to Lebo and tell her the truth away from everybody else, like alone, which is kind, I guess. And she's like, I have to be honest with you. Me and Nola have had sex several times, not once, not twice, not thrice. I don't want you to find out from somebody else. I don't want you to find out like around. I want to be upfront with that. And this is news to Lebo because again, without having any conversation with her ex about this, she thought that he wouldn't do that. But she was like, I knew he was a flirt. I didn't think he was a cheater. Is this cheat? I don't know what y'all expectations are. Y'all really need to communicate. So as you can imagine, things get a bit hot. And Lebo wants to confront Nola. So for some reason, when she comes to confront him, he's like, no. And he turns to Ruth and is like, why did you tell her that joke about us having sex? He's like, no, baby, please, no. He's using every language under the book. And eventually the argument leads back to Lebo and Aiden's place. And he's like, Aiden, help me. And he's like, nah, I can't do that, man. I'm sorry. Because at this point, Aiden and Lebo don't have a romantic connection. They're very close. They're getting closer as friends. And he's like, nah, I can't do that. So he comes back to his house with Ruth and he's mad at Ruth because she told his ex that they had sex. He's like, why did you tell her? And she was like, I wanted her to know. He was like, we agreed to not tell anybody. So I'm going to go call Isaac and tell him that we Lebo comes into the house. They're yelling, go back and forth. He calls Isaac. He's like, yeah, we did have sex. So this is the first time he actually admitted it in front of Lebo. She was like, oh, so now you admit it, nigga. And it's just messy. So here comes Isaac. They all start to arguing. And eventually Nola leaves out and Isaac and Lebo are like, are you even sorry? Like, do you feel bad about anything? He's like, dude, it had to happen like this.
It had to happen like this, bro.
It just has to. He does not even show any. I'm like, ooh. And it gets spicy, dude. It like Nola and Isaac starts to go back and forth. And I'm like, does the ultimatum have security on set? It's never gotten this far. But they about to get buck. But the security's there, thankfully, tears them away. And Lebo has reached the conclusion. She was like, I would be very upset with myself if I stayed with someone like Nola. So eventually she's like, fuck this, fuck that nigga, fuck this experiment. I'm going home. Forget this. So she goes home and so does Nola. And now Aiden and Ruth decide to stay in their houses by themselves until we do the crossover. Rest assured, the mess for the night is not over because SZA goes to Neteko to complain about Kanye and how mean she was to her at the girls' night. And Neteko is like, well, why don't you just go and say it to her? Like, come on, go say it to her. And he's like, do you want to say it to her? And she's like, okay. And then so they go over. And again, I don't love Kanye, but I do resonate with how frustrated and angry she gets when people pop up over her house. I do not like pop-up people. I've told y'all this. There is nothing that pisses me off more than people that pop up over my house unannounced. What are you doing in here? This is my house. Get out of my house. Who invited you here? Why are you sitting down? Neteko actually leaves SZA there to handle it. And she's like, why did you just leave me there? I thought you were there to support me. And now you just left me there to get yelled at. And she's yelling and spitting and like insulting her. She called her a fat ass, a ratchet hood rat, and goofy boom boom. They go back and forth. She's screaming. Kanye's screaming like, get out, ah. And so SZA goes back and she's like, Neteko, why did you leave me there? I thought you wanted me to handle her for you. And that's rude. You just left me there. And then she starts crying. She's like, you just left me there, blah, 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 blah. Neteko ends up going over to her house. Actually, no, he goes into her house. Again, not a fan of Kanye, but I get it. She's like, get the fuck out of my house. How did you get in here? And so she goes off. She's like, you and your hood rat can go out there, blah, blah, blah. Your teeth are terrible. Everything's awful. You're horrible. You're a terrible person. She gets really mean and rude, but also, again, don't pop up over people's house. But her word choices are particularly, okay. So the next morning, Isaac chats with Aiden about Ruth. And I bring this up because he's already talking about how Kanye's not marriage material. She's not woman material, blah, 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 blah. But he also talks about how Ruth has really embarrassed him because something along the lines of like, it's embarrassing that my girl is that easy that anybody can have her. Fuck you. Please go die. It's finally time after all the chaos for the separation, or to go back to your original partners, I should say. Everybody has varying complicated emotions around returning to their original partner. Specifically, one particularly is Lindile, who, if you recall, is the one that issued the ultimatum. But now he's like, I feel like I've fallen in love with Tabby. Nigga, you only dated SZA for 6 months and wanted to marry her. I'm not surprised that you changed your mind so quickly. They do the switch over. They give their insights about how it was being with a new partner for 3 weeks and how they feel going into the next phase. And it gets to Ruth, who is like, I'm not looking forward to being back with Isaac. Like, I'm used to less, so I guess I'm going to keep my expectations low because less is what I get from him anyway. But Isaac is still stuck on how she is, quote, messing with his image and talking about this in front of everybody to embarrass him and yada, yada, yada. I'm not a fan. And then Ruth, again, in like the post interview, she's like, I was a single person. I wanted to have sex. Nola wanted to have sex. So we had sex. I'm not going to apologize for that. Just like, I'm sorry that it hurt your feelings, but I'm not going to apologize for the action because I did nothing wrong. So, and they're going back and forth. But of course, eventually Kanye has to make the whole conversation about her. So she says that she's not looking forward to the changeover. The thought of being with Neteko makes her sick to her stomach. And Neteko talks about how him and Isaac have issues with her. Like, it's been nice to have another person to talk about it with so I don't feel crazy. And she's like, I'm not going to sit here and let y'all disparage me and talk about how you can't handle me and how you're not man enough for me. She's very grating. She's a very, like, she stabs with her words.
So I won't sit here while they like bond over and fist pump over how they can't handle me and how too much I am for them.
So, as you can imagine, when they go back to their original partners, it's a mess. Kanye's like, he can't sleep in the same bed as me. You were sleeping in the said bed as that hood rat that you brought him on the show to meet, bitch. I cannot express how dumb that is. Oh, she gets upset. She's like, get out of the bed. I don't want to sleep in the same bed as you. She throws, I think, wine on him or something. She's like, get out of the bed. She starts yelling and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, you are one unpleasant lady. Just absolutely grating. And I am confused about the good sides anybody seems to see in this woman, even superficially. I am losing my mind. Anyway, also, SZA and Lindile start arguing because he was like, I saw you all lovey-dovey with Neteko and you did it out in public. You didn't consider my feelings. You weren't thinking about me. And I'm like, nigga, again, didn't you just say you were in love with Tabby? Y'all blow me. Why are you mad at seeing her with somebody else when you brought her here to be with somebody else? Anyway, Tabby's crying because she sees that Genesis, her original partner, bought her a bunch of gifts, but she ends up seeing that Lindile also left her a gift, and it was this teddy bear. And she was like, to Genesis, I want to be honest with you. I've purchased a gift for him as well. Is it okay? I want you to know that, so you're not thinking that I'm giving him stuff behind your back and stuff like that. And, you know, Genesis is like struggling with it. He's like, oh, okay. Like, it doesn't feel great, but I understand that they built a connection. So Ruth apologizes to Isaac about how he found out about her having sex with Nola. She also apologizes for how she reacted when he found out. And he's expecting her to apologize for sleeping with Nola. And she's like, again, I'm not sorry for that.
Has been cuddling with Kanye, has been kissing Kanye, has been seeing Kanye naked, has been being seen by Kanye naked, is not apologizing for that. Meaning you wanted to do those things. I wanted to sleep with Nola, so there's no need to apologize.
He ends up giving that gift to Lindile. And it's hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Yes, you can clap. Please do. SZA gets frustrated because she sees the bag and it says what goes around comes around. And she's like, oh, that's subliminal messaging. She's trying to come back around to you. Why would she give you this? This is just not cool. Give it back. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll give it back. but he doesn't rush to do it. Back to Kanya and Neteko, who seem to have calmed down from the wine thing. We would never calm down from the wine thing, bitch. We would go forever. Stamina. She's like, I feel like you were with Caesar talking about me and disparaging me and you never defended me and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, we didn't think about you. We did not think about you at all. And he also brings up how Isaac asked, do I think that you're a gold digger or materialistic? And she's like, obviously I'm not materialistic and a gold digger because what gold am I digging? You have nothing. But again, I do think you're a gold digger. You're just bad at it. You're just doing a bad job of it. Okay. SZA gets annoyed waiting for Lindile to return the gift to Tabby, so she does it herself. And she's like, I don't appreciate you giving this to him. I feel like you guys should have exchanged things during your time. Y'all had a whole 3 weeks. And so she leaves kind of in a huff. And Tabby's like, what was that? And Genesis is like, I don't think she knows that he gave you a gift. So it feels like you're trying to intrude on their time. Back to Isaac and Ruth, they're still arguing and things are getting progressively worse. And she's like, if you don't want to be here, why are you still here then? And that's when he brings out a ring. He's like, gotcha, bitch. I was going to propose to you no matter what at the end of this. And I'm like, then why did we come on the show? Oh, you messy bitch drained me. I'm so tired. She's like, haha, look at what I'm planning. You don't know the things that I'm planning. You don't know the machinations in the background of the things that I'm planning for us. And she's like, I was supposed to just read your mind. I was supposed to read bones and shit. Like, what do you mean? How was I supposed to know that? I don't know how you feel. You don't say nothing. They have another guys and girls night, which is always great, as you can see. Well, one thing that's cute that happened is that Aiden tells everybody, he's like, I'm going to propose to Courtney. I got a ring. I'm decided. So, aw. Tabby and SZA hash it out. And it gets kind of tense. She's like, I don't appreciate what you did coming over my house and acting like I was trying to impose on you guys. Like, we were friends and we built a connection. He left a bear in my house, so I was returning a gift. Then things get even more heated because Kanya, as always, has to make everything about herself. So she goes to interrogating Ruth about why she had sex with Nola. And so Ruth gives her the answer that I think is only appropriate. I wanted to have sex, so I had it. Like, the fuck? It's really that simple. But Kanya is like obviously saying little like sly jabs about her sleeping around. It's a stranger, like
From a random guy. Well,
It's not a random guy. Same as allowing just a random guy to see you naked.
it's okay with you just like being with anybody, like like looking down upon her. And she was like, you were walking around naked with Isaac in y'all house. Y'all had seen each other naked. Is that not a stranger? And Kanya is like,
He would be in the shower. No, it's not.
being a bitch as usual. And I'm proud of Ruth because she's one of the first people to actually properly like clap back at her. Because fuck that bitch. She's insane.
Were you upset that you slept with someone?
I'm not upset.
Who sent you to go sleep with him? Why make him my problem now? You shouldn't have slept with anyone if you're gonna bark at us.
I will do whatever I want with my body. It's not yours.
All right, we're getting close to the end now because I'm getting exhausted. Aiden asks Courtney's parents for her hand in marriage. It's super cute. They say yes. Ruth finally meets somebody within Isaac's life, and it's a little strange. It gets heated or just impassioned. I don't know what's going on, but when they meet her, they're like, we didn't know anything about you. It's good to meet you, even though I didn't know you exist. And again, they've been dating for 2 years. They're going back and forth, and they're just very honest with her. They were like, let me be real with you. If he ain't said nothing about you, he's not sure about you. I'm sorry. And she knows that. She's like, I love him, but he's still very focused on me. He's not thinking about us. And I wish that he would. You can't make people do things, you know? Later, the family's like, I hope they break up, because if they stay together, there would be 2 miserable souls. So it's the final night of the trial marriages. People are, coming to an end. They are getting ready for their decisions. Generally speaking, everyone seems to be on the same page-ish, except Ruth and Isaac. Hopefully they break up. But despite that, SZA and Neteko end up getting coffee. During this conversation, he's like, if we both said no to our original partners, do you think we would be together? Do you think there would be a chance for us? And the episode ends and they just never come back to it. So thanks for that. Awesome. Anyway, so the decisions, whether or not they're going to engage, are upon us. We have Neteko and Kanya who don't get engaged in a move so disrespectful and unexpected. He does bring a ring, and he said, this is a promise that we can continue to keep going towards the day I propose to you. And it's so funny because she was so mad. She was like, what is this? What is this? Take it off of me. I'm like, that is ghetto. You should have just said, I don't want to get engaged. Like, oh my God. Lendila and Caesar get engaged. I guess he got over being in love with Tabby. I guess it only took 3 seconds to fall in. So I guess 3 seconds to fall out is, appropriate. Courtney and Aiden get engaged, but that's no shocker considering we already saw him buying a ring. Ruth and Isaac break up. Hallelujah. 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 Because them are two people that shouldn't be together. And then Tabby and Genesis get engaged. And that's all for now as of filming. By the time this video goes up, there will be the reunion and I will come back and talk about that.
Eventually.
My hair looks a mess. I need to wash it. Anyway, so the reunion happened. Mess all around. As far as like these reunions go, it was pretty straightforward. They kind of just went to each person and then it was over, which I really appreciated. The Lachey's like to drag it out for an hour and a half and that's just not necessary. Bounce all around, show us clips about shit we don't care about. Get straight to the point. So here are the important things to know about. Nola and Lebo come out and they talk about how about a month after leaving the experience early in a huff, a lot had happened. They decided to try again. As you guys may know, the reunions take place about a year after the taping is done. So they've been together for almost a year, back together almost a year. And Nola kind of speaks for both of them and is like, yes, we're still together and we're working through it and we're happy. And Lebo don't seem to share that thought. And here comes Isaac, who has built up a friendship with Lebo over the time that they were in like the speed dating and trial marriages. Like they had a friendship even though they didn't do the trial marriage together. He's like, I talked to her. She is not happy. She is not happy. And Nola's like shocked by this. He's like, what? This is the first I'm hearing that you're not happy. Basically a whole lot of things to say like, I thought the experience would teach us how to be closer together, but it actually taught me to be happy without you and to learn to not love you. Somebody turned that into a Jill Scott record. And basically she breaks up with him on stage. And then Aiden, he just does like his quiet clap, like, yay. Tabby and Genesis have put a pause on their engagement. I like the pink girl, by the way. They basically said we got engaged, but there's still a lot of like foundational things that we need to consider because that's why we ended up here in the first place. Caesar apologizes to Kanya for going over to her villa unannounced. And then Kanya actually apologizes for body shaming her, which is interesting. I will say overall, in the course of this experience, Kanya at the reunion, she's actually quite calm and less condescending and weird. They talk about Aiden and Courtney's engagement. And how, I guess I missed this the first time because I kind of clocked out when Aiden and Courtney came out because I knew they were getting engaged, so whatever. But she actually whipped out a ring from her shoe. If you don't propose to me, I'm proposing to you. And I'm like, rather drag my pussy on concrete. There's no way I'm proposing to a man. Absolutely not. There are some traditional things that I have too much pride to let go of. I'm not doing it, but okay. But they're engaged, they're happy, he has a job. And again, they're just getting more settled as they, before they make the big expensive wedding decision and all that. Back to Kanya. They talk more about how mean and awful she was in the show. And she's like, that's not reflective of who I am. Okay. But here comes Neteko, who's like, no, really, I've never seen her act like that. That was very like out of character for her. And I feel like the experience really pushed people to our limits. They're back together, by the way, after the promise ring kind of thing. And actually, in the midst of them working through their relationship, she got pregnant. They now have a son who's 3 months old. And it's always when people are going through hardships that they want to say, hey, let's have a baby. Like, that would be great. Let's have a kid. Maybe for this very, very specific situation, having a baby brought them closer together. That's what she says. I don't know. I don't believe babies bring you closer together. If anything, they're a stressor. But it ends with Nola apologizing to Lebo one more time for all the pain that he caused her. And then that's basically it. Caesar and Lendile, not really much to say about them. They're still happy or whatever. His beard is glistening. Beard oil? What is that? Everybody's faces was glistening. Everybody looked real good. I was like, did they get a different like makeup artist? Like who's on the set for the Ultimatum's reunions? Because it does tend to be at the reunion everybody is beat, honey. That's basically the key points. They did go and ask Isaac and Ruth about the whole experience, yada, yada, yada. But they're not together anymore. I forgot about that. They're not together anymore. Ruth is actually in a new relationship and she seems quite happy. So that's the updates, baby. And that's all for the Ultimatum South Africa. If you guys enjoyed this, because I don't think I did my sign out in the original, feel free to like this video, what you felt if you watched it. If you think I should watch anything else, let me know. Put them down in the comment section. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter, both of which are KennieJD. Follow me over on the Connect the Dots podcast, where I interview, along with my co-host, Sean Peckus, people that are much more interesting and famous than me. And I will see you guys next time.